Okay, if you're home watching this, pause it to read this because I'm taking it away. Every single problem that involves a parabola, my suggestion to you, if you're having any difficulty at all, is to find all the answers to whatever question I might ask. Don't even read the question. If you have a parabola of something being thrown, if it's being thrown from the ground, like kicked or something, this is going to be 0. The one that you just did starts at 0. Or you could have a parabola, there's the y-axis, that starts here. That's when the y-intercept is not 0. Those are the only two things that can happen. So for the story problem I just gave you, you have h equals negative 16 t squared plus 64t. Now, what is the y-intercept?
0.
It's 0. C is 0. That means this parabola starts at 0, 0. Now, you can find that when you solve it anyway, but that's where it starts. If I have plus 6, that means it starts at 6 feet. Then your story problem looks like that. So first of all, you should get it in your head. Now, if it says launched from the ground, that's an automatic. My equation has to be plus 0 because it's starting on the ground. Okay. Every single parabola story problem, my suggestion to all of you, is first, and I got it written over there, find the axis of symmetry. Okay, so this, we have a parabola, and the axis of symmetry is the middle of your parabola. So, the opposite of B. Now, you don't need all this information for every story problem, but if you get in the habit of finding this, this, and this every time, you will be able to answer any story problem anytime. So it's a good thing to do. So the opposite of B over 2A gives me 2. That means on my vertex, the first coordinate is 2. So here's my x-axis. This is a 2. Then you plug 2 in, and you get what? It's not a 6. What? 64. So you plug 2 in, and you get 64. Now, I would solve it now. Solve it means you set it up, whatever you have, equal to 0, and you find by factoring. So let's solve it. 0 equals. Now this does not require you to solve it to answer these questions. But let's just solve it so you can understand what happens every single time. Okay, 0 equals negative 16 t squared plus 64t. Where are you going? All right. Now, we're going to pull out the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is negative 16t times t minus 4. We now have two factors. This is a factor and this is a factor equal to 0. If we set up 0 equals negative 16t and 0 equals t minus 4, we're going to get this answer and this answer. Now, we already know this is 0, 0, but it's going to show you it's 0, 0. Divide by negative 16, divide by negative 16. See, it's going to come out to 0, 0 because my y-intercept was 0. So this is 0. This is the middle. If you start at 0, the middle, well, we should get a 4. And we will. T equals 4. Okay? Only can you double the 2 if it starts at 0. Now we can answer all the questions, okay? We launched it from here. In 2 seconds, it was at 64 feet. In 4 seconds, it was on the ground. So number 1, how long was it in the air? 4 seconds. What was the highest point? 64 feet. What if I said, how long did it take to get to 64 feet? 2 seconds. Okay? Now let's do one where the y-intercept is not 0. Okay? Just want you, if you understand it, you'll be able to answer all story problems. Okay, we're going to do number 3. Let me just put the camera on it. Okay, if you're home, you can just pause it. There we go. All right, number 3. Casting. He's fishing, all right? I don't know that much about fishing, but I do know that he's throwing it from how many feet? Yep. Well, if he's standing up. All right, that's 6.
And the -16, it is gravity. It's like a gravity.
Gravity, -16 is gravity. That's why you're always seeing -16. Thank you. All right, so this parabola doesn't start at 0. It starts at 6. In other words, it's really there. If you solve it, you should get a negative answer and a positive answer because it doesn't start at 0. Okay? So let's just work out the equation. There's our parabola. Step number 1, find the axis of symmetry. All right? The opposite, now get your calculators out. I'm going to need some help here. This comes out weird. The opposite of B over 2A. That's 46 divided by 32. 0.625?
1.4375.
No.
1.437.
Is it?
-46 divided by.
Oh, maybe I didn't do this one in class. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and finish it. This was supposed to be one for your homework. All right, so I've not done this problem yet. All right, so it's what?
-1.
That can't be negative.
No, I mean 1.4375.
Divided by
It's a -32. 2 times A.
46 divided by 32. 1.4375?
Yes.
All right, let's put it in. 1.4375. Okay? Now, let's plug that in to find the vertex. So plug in 1.4375 to the t squared and the t. And please get the right answer so we're not wasting film. Counting on you, Josh. I'd like somebody to agree with them, too.
I agree with you, Josh.
What are we doing?
Plugging in 1.4375.
The answer I got was 39.0625.
Is he right?
Yep, that's what I got. That's what I got too.
39.0625. By the way, in the real world, things are not always pretty.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you started here in 1.4375 seconds. You were at 39 feet. Okay? You can't double 1.4375 and get that answer. Why?
Because it didn't start at 0.
Yeah, it started somewhere in the negative zone. Okay, so let's factor it to see what these two answers are. Now, we don't even need this, but we're going to get it when we factor. Okay, so height will be 0, because that's what the water is, okay? Equals negative 16. Nope. What's the greatest common factor?
2. 4.
Negative 2. 4 doesn't go into 6
I know.
or 46.
I know, I was just...
Okay, negative 2 times 8t squared plus minus 23 minus 3. Wow, I
T.
Oh yeah, you
Forgot the T.
forgot the t. Thank you.
That's why I didn't use it.
Okay, boy, that's going to be a very hard problem to do. All right, so now we factor. 0 equals negative 2. Now, factors of 24 that give you 23 are easy,
Yeah.
right? 8t squared minus 24t plus 1t minus 3. Okay, now we're going to group. 0 equals negative 2. Greatest common factor,
T.
8t times t minus 3, t minus 3 plus 1. Final factored answer is 0 equals negative 2, t minus 3, 8t plus 1. Okay, let's get all the answers here. Okay, 0 can't be negative 2, so really what's happening here is you're going to divide both sides by negative 2, and those go away, or you just get 0. So t minus 3 equals 0 gives us
3.
3, and 8t plus 1 equals 0.
It gives us negative 1 over 8.
Negative 1/8 is negative 0.125. So what does that mean? That means you have a negative 0.125, which has nothing to do with the story problem, and you have 3. So forget the questions for a minute. How high did it get? 39.0625. How long did it take to get to 39.0625?
4, 3, 5.
This many seconds. How long was it in the air?
3.
3 seconds. If you find those 3 parts, every time you can answer all the story problems. Okay? Now, I can't believe I picked such a hard one to do for notes, for a video, but that's okay. Now, the other kind of story problem has nothing to do with a parabola. It has to do with a quadratic equation that comes from an area type problem. Okay, let's get that in the camera. Ooh, pause. All right. Area equals length times width. The area given in this problem is 220. The length is x plus 9. This is a question from last year's test. The width is x. So bottom line is you have to know how to solve this. Remember, if you're going to solve by factoring, you must always have it equal to 0 first. So let's use the distributive property first. 220 equals x squared plus 9x. Now I want a 0 here, so I'm going to subtract 220. 0 equals x squared plus 9x minus 220. I'm going to get the answer by factoring. 0 equals, factors of 220 that come out to a 9 are 11 and 20. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
11 times 20.
Thank you.
Okay? That's positive 20 and negative 11. So x plus 20 equals 0. X minus 11 equals 0. This gives you x is a negative answer, and a rectangle cannot have a negative distance. And this gives you x is 11, which is the answer to x. So let's look at our rectangle. You have x plus 9 and x. So erase the x and put 11. Erase this x and put 11. So the length is 20. The width is 11. And guess what? 11 times 20 is 220, just like it says. You get it? Two kinds of problems. One that has nothing to do with a parabola and one that has to do with a parabola. But if you factor and get everything equal to 0, you can get the solution every time. But I suggest on all parabola problems, you find that, which is the vertex, and this, and then all questions make sense.
There's part C to the question about finding.
Part C is the perimeter, so you would add 20 plus 11 plus 20 plus 11, 62. Okay, we're going to do some problems now. And sorry if you're absent.